Okay, looks like it's that time again. Looks like I'm recording. Looks like the camera's on, rolling. We are live. And welcome again to yet another segment of Matt's World, the podcast you know you love. You know, and that you love. I'm sorry. There is a comma in between the two. It is another semi-beautiful day out here on Lake Wisconsin. We've got today we had quite a lot of wind and some whitecaps out there on the lake today. Fortunately, I didn't make it out fishing today. I was busy with other things going on. I had to run and do laundry, had to run some errands, had to take some time to clean out my place. By clean out, I mean do some vacuuming and cleaning. The place that I refer to as Matt's World. So, I guess without further ado, let's get started. Grab a beer, and we'll get this podcast going. Nice thing about being your own boss is you can drink on the job. Prost. Yeah, all right, so let's get at it. So, first topic I wanted to talk about today is I turned on Facebook this morning and I read that Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers ordered a closing on all the Wisconsin state parks. On the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Facebook group, they made a post 5 hours ago that says, quote, "Due to unprecedented crowds, littering, and vandalism, the following Wisconsin state parks are closed effective Friday, April 10th, for the duration of the COVID-19 emergency." It goes on to name all the regions, and then goes on to name all 40 of the parks that they are closing. It then ends by saying, our goal is to maintain the safest environment for our visitors and staff. If you are looking to take a break in the outdoors, public health officials are advising you walk, run, hike, and bike in your local neighborhoods and maintain social distances of 6 feet. So, I guess unfortunately, it got too crowded and they had to close down for the duration of the this pandemic, which is unfortunate. I was actually looking forward to visiting Devil's Lake Park during Easter weekend and taking you along with me. But I guess we're going to have to take a hiatus on that. And now the next thing I want to talk about, as I posted on my Facebook page, Loon's Call Productions, that I'd like to talk about safe fish handling. So I guess we'll dive right into it. We'll first start by talking about some of the tools you need to bring with you. Excuse me. Now, a couple of things that you need. A good pair of pliers. Now, the pliers I use, these just happen to be Cabela's made pliers. These guys are, what's different about these guys is they're treated with some rust-proof coating. They won't rust as easily as your cheaper hardware store pliers. Now, yeah, you can get away with your cheaper hardware store pliers, but eventually it's going to look like a artifact from the Titanic. I've had some of them just rust up in a matter of days. These ones have been pretty good to me. The other nice thing I like about these is they have a blade on that interior of them that hasn't worn out yet. That is nice for snipping hooks. Smaller hooks like your regular bass hooks and your trout hooks, but not so much for your bigger musky ones. We're going to get into that in a minute. Another tool you should bring with you when you go fishing, just a simple pair of nail clippers. Now these guys, I find them all the time at flea markets and dollar stores and that kind of stuff. And I always just go with just a very basic pair of them. Yeah, they do make ones for fishing, which still have that coating, which have the which have rubber grips, which have lanyards. But I find that those, for the most part, last just as long as these guys do. And they tend to be like $5 a pop when these guys are usually sometimes a quarter a piece. So I use that. Another thing I might use would be a pair of scissors that are found on a regular Swiss Army knife. And another good thing to invest in, something that combines the two of them together, a good multi-tool. This particular one's by Gerber. I like it because what I could do is I squeeze these two sides here. Just it unlatches, open it up, and take that hook out. Now this particular pair does not have a pair of scissors. Years ago I had one with a pair of scissors, lost it, and then ended up just finding this one on eBay for like $5. At the stores they sell for anywhere between, I'd say, $20 to $30, depending on where you go. So that, and now what I don't have with me, which I should have with me, is a pair of heavy-duty wire snips. Reason why you're going to need some heavy-duty ones is when you're going after things like muskies and northern, and you're using those big hooks and lures that that people are known to use with them, then it's a good idea to have those with you. And I'll go into detail as to why you might need those. And lastly, another thing that you should never leave home without when you go fishing, a pair of jaws of life, as I like to call them, or jaw spreaders. Now, your big toothy guys, your northerns, your muskies again, and sometimes even your walleyes, these guys come in handy. What you do is you put that in his mouth and you just spread his jaws open. With your pliers, you're able to get in there and do all that fancy hook removal surgery. So I guess we'll go ahead and talk about actual safe fish handling. I have a script here. So I guess we'll just get right into it. All right, so starting off, so you're fighting a fish. You're reeling in. You get that that strike. All of a sudden, your 2/5 of an ounce lure becomes a 3-pound fish, and he runs. What do? First thing you're going to want to do is just fight him. Don't wrestle with him. Don't wear him out. Yeah, I know that was the thing to do back in the day, was just fight him and wear him out and get him tired. The reality, though, is you tend to do more harm than good. What's going to happen is chances are you're going to reel him in, and he'll just be tired and he'll just collapse on your boat. I've had that happen. So it's a good idea to fight fish as little as possible. Now, personally, what I do is I use heavier lines. I tend to favor braids. I tend to use your 20-pound braids. And the reason why I prefer to use braids is just for the simple fact that they don't break as easily. And I'm usually able to just drag a fish in versus fighting around with them for an extended period of time. And on top of that, I tend to save a lot of lures and tackle in the long run. In a future podcast, I'll get more into line and more of my equipment that I use in terms of rods and reels. So you're gonna want to fight them as little as possible. Just bring them in. Me personally, I think the longest fight I've ever had must have been 5 minutes, and that was snagging into a carp. I've caught everything freshwater, everything from muskies to trout to fish I didn't even know what they were at the time. Caught just about everything, and every fish I've ever caught, with the exception of that one carp, lasted about a minute. So, and then I guess one thing I forgot to add to the list. Now I actually have to grab something. is a good landing net. What you're going to want to look for in a net if you use nets, you're going to want to look for something where you're going to want to try to avoid that traditional nylon strand that you see in a lot of stores and that you've probably used forever. And so, they also make other things. They make rubber nets. They make rubber-coated nets. They make a whole host of different types of nets. They make more of a mesh net. And and what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, the idea of these different materials is they prevent the fins from splitting. This is a fish's fin. This is what your traditional nets do to the fins. They can cut into them like that, which then leads to infection, which can potentially make them sick and kill them. So you want to avoid those types of nets. Most sporting goods stores will sell those alternative nets. Just be sure to ask the people working there what kind of nets they recommend for that are safe on fish. The other thing you're going to want to do, and I just grabbed one of my little aquarium nets for demonstration purposes. Fortunately, I have a net, but it's in storage right now, so I guess this will have to suffice for the time being. Anyways, when you do go to land the fish, you're going to want to scoop him into your net and kind of keep him in the water. What you can do with that is you can keep them in the water and do your hook removal surgery from there. What I see a lot of people do is they actually take the fish out of the water, take them and just throw them on the shoreline. That's not a good thing to do. Once again, the split fins, once again, he can now get a concussion or potentially break a bone or two, and that could ultimately kill him or cause him stress or kill him later. And of course I get text message as I'm doing a live stream. But anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, we were talking about nets and what types to go for and how to unclog or undo hooks. So yeah, so what I like to do is when I do have the fish in the net, I like to kind of put my knee against the net and get into the net and undo the hook from the fish's mouth and kind of use it as kind of a makeshift live well. I guess that kind of brings me to my next point, and that is keeping the fish out of water as little as possible. I think one analogy I remember from my grandpa, "Oh, how long can you hold your breath?" Well, that's how long you should keep them out of the water. And that's true. They breathe water, we breathe land. Air, we breathe land. Okay, I think this will be the last beer I have on a live stream. But yeah, the point is this: you don't want to keep them out of water for an extended period of time. The air, especially cold air, can actually damage their gills. The fact they're not breathing water can cause them damage. I like to do it as quickly as possible. Most fish I've caught in the last few years have been out of water for maybe less than 30 seconds. And with the fact that smartphones are everywhere, everyone has one, it's so easy to take great photos. Just take like 5 or 6. You see that that picture instantly on your screen. Everyone knows how to use them. It makes that part of the process so much more quicker. So have your camera ready at all times, or have your phone ready. Take your picture and get them back in the water. And then the actual release part of the process. What I see a lot of people do is they just throw them back, or they just or they'll hold them in the water and they'll just kind of grab them by the tail and slide them back and forth in the water. The reality is all you really have to do is just kind of hold them upright in the water and just let him let him breathe. Just give him some time to breathe. Eventually, what he's going to do is he'll wake up and he'll swim off on his own. Good idea to make sure that they can swim off on their own. If you just kind of throw them in the water and just let them sit there, chances are they're not doing that great. And what could happen is a bird could pick them up and take them off, since they see them in the water and they see that they're upside down in the water. So why is this stuff important? Very simple. A good safe fish handling, good safe practices of anglers all over Wisconsin and all over the world will ensure a future for fishing for both us and our kids. It's a great sport. It's a lot of fun, but I want to see it get better, and I want to see it prosper from here. So I guess just one more thing I'd like to touch on this podcast today is I did touch on a 2-minute video earlier, and that is I finally got my Facebook page, Loon's Call Productions, up and going. What Loon's Call Productions is it's gonna be kind of a little bit of everything. It's gonna be an eventual podcast. It's gonna be instructional videos on YouTube. It's gonna be funny videos on YouTube. It's gonna be all my photography. It's gonna be all sorts of stuff. I've got a million plans for it. I'm very excited about this new chapter in my life, and I want to take you guys with me. So link in the description below, you'll find my that page. Once again, that's Loon's Call Productions. It's just a group. It's not actually a Facebook fan page. It's I decided to make it a group as opposed to a fan page, just to kind of test the water, see what kind of feedback I get, what people are liking, what people are disliking, and figure out how I want to run my eventual page and how I want to go about videos and podcasts in the future. So once again, please check it out. Otherwise, that's going to do it for this segment of Matt's World. Wow, this definitely went pretty long, 17 minutes and 44, 5, 46, 47. Okay, as of right now. So, and once again, thank you for stopping by and sitting in on this podcast. I'm glad I have all of you here to view this. Once again, I am Matt Gerloff, signing off. I hope to see you out there.